Welcome to the Real Estate Black Book, the Buyer Edition. I'm Tyler Harmon. This week, we're going to talk about lenders. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that agents can easily kill deals for their clients without them knowing about it. So can lenders. So it's important to make sure you know exactly who's working on your loan for you way before you start writing offers. Unfortunately today, buyers are more worried about interest rates than anything else. In my opinion, they're taking the cart and putting it before the horse. On one hand, yes, interest rates are important, but you don't have to worry about an interest rate if you can't get the loan and buy the house in the first place. You get it? So, the last thing before we get started is I'm not trying to get into the specific loan programs. There's so many and they change every day. You want to know about the specific programs? At the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to find those answers, I promise. So first, let's talk about your lender as a person. You need someone that's accessible. You need someone that actually answers the phone when you call. If that sounds silly to you, that's probably because you've never been in a real estate transaction before. When it comes to buying a home, your agent and your lender are the two most important people on your team. You need to have a good rapport with them. You need to be able to communicate easily with them and often. That includes your agent and your lender talking to each other. We're going to talk about some different difficult conversations you could be having before and after you open escrow. So it's important that you get on the same page with everybody from the start. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that communication is the most important characteristic in real estate. You also need to pay attention to your lender's attitude. In my opinion, you don't want the most optimistic guy in the world. You want the guy that's going to give you 2 thumbs up, but that also is going to tell you the million ways this thing can go wrong. Super conservative. The opposite of this is the guy who tells you anything you want to hear, but he really just thinks of you as a piece of spaghetti. Get your business, throw you against the wall, and see if it sticks. Your lender also needs to know their stuff. How much do they really know about the process and all the different programs out there? Do they know how the underwriters operate, how they ask for documents? Keep in mind, I'm not talking about how many years they've been in the business. Honestly, whenever I hear people argue with me and they start sentences with, "I've been in the business for 15 years, I start to tune out. Because those people are usually the ones you need to watch out for. What I mean is, people can lean on the number of years as a crutch instead of leaning on their experience. What I'm talking about here is a career learner. Whether you're brand new or you've been in the business for 40 years, you know your stuff. There's a quote by Michelangelo out there. It says, "Ancora imporo." It means I am still learning. My CPA wakes up at 4 a.m. every morning to read the new legislation and all the new accounting regulations. You see the difference? Next is the company. You could have the best mortgage guy in the world, but if their systems are terrible, it's going to slow them down. When the mortgage guy and the underwriter are in 2 completely different states, you can count on that loan taking forever. You want a mortgage guy who sits right next to his loan processor, who can walk into the next room and talk to their underwriter. Also, bigger lenders, they usually don't have much flexibility with their loan programs. They do a lot of loans and they're not into taking risk. They like vanilla. They can crank out vanilla. But here in LA, we don't have much of that. We got a lot more rocky road. Basically, you need a lender that's big enough so they can handle the process, but not too boxy to limit your options. They should also be in the city that you live in. There are exceptions, but if you're buying a house in Los Angeles, don't find someone who's based out of Birmingham, Alabama. Lastly, when should you be reaching out to a lender? Short answer is whenever you decide to buy a house, you should be picking up the phone. There are so many buyers that are out driving around, looking at properties months before they even reach out to a lender. They have no idea about down payments, monthly payments, credit scores, loan programs, nothing. So if you don't reach out to a good lender and know the details, and you just happen to be working with the laziest agent on the planet, you never know how much house you can actually buy. You can do so much better, I promise you. The sooner you have a lender you can trust, the better. The big reason is it can take time to get approved. Yes, you can get a quick pre-approval in an hour, but those are usually worthless because all they did was check your credit score. You want your lender to pore through your financials with a fine-tooth comb and then give you a pre-approval letter that's as good as cash. Being this in-depth is good so you know exactly how much you can afford and what your budget is, then you can find something really awesome. So to summarize, number 1, you need to like your lender, be able to communicate with them, and trust them with your life. Number 2, you need to find a lender that's at a company that lets them spread their wings so they can do awesome deals. And number 3, you need to reach out to them as soon as possible so you can see what they have in their bag of tricks. Okay, so that does it today. Next week, tune in and we're going to find out how to look at homes online versus in person. I'll see you then.